Greetings and salutations everyone, Crimson Nero here, and welcome back to Let's Play Sonic Heroes. In the last episode, we finished Team Sonic's story, and in this episode, we're going to be starting up Team Dark's story. I love that shot. I love that shot of Shadow's eyes opening with that sound effect. It's really cool.
Hey, hold up! Now I get it. Now I know what this is all about. You're mad at Eggman for sealing you in this room. And you can't remember anything, can you? Then it's settled. Now you two make up so we can start looking for Eggman together. Oh yeah, baby. This makes us a team.
Cool, teamwork. So it's interesting because even though that the Speed character is kind of seen as like the face of the teams, not every single team has the Speed character as the quote-unquote leader. In this case, despite Shadow kind of being the front man of the team, Rouge definitely seems like more of the leader in this situation. But yeah, we're starting up as Team Dark. Plays very similarly to Team Sonic, with some variety here and there. The biggest thing is the fact that we're playing as three completely different characters. Well, maybe not completely differently. Basically, Shadow and Rouge play very similarly to Sonic and Tails. However, Omega is where the differences come in and the variety happens, because his power attacks are very different from Knuckles'. I mean, yeah, they both have that little fire dunk attack, which I'll be using most of the time, but in terms of like the AoE stuff, Omega's is very different from Knuckles. His combos involve more of just spinning around and shooting projectiles around him, rather than Knuckles, who kind of goes a little bit all over the place with all of his attacks. Both of them do kind of swing around a lot when it comes to their movement while attacking. They don't really stay put all that much. If anything, Omega actually is a lot more slippery, but generally, when it comes to playing as all the different teams, all of them play pretty similarly, so you can get adjusted pretty quickly and go in between all the different teams very easily, which I'd have to say, like, even though that it probably would have been better to make just the Team Sonic campaign just a lot longer, make that the main focus of the game, it was at least interesting and, like, nice to be able to go between all the different teams and not have to lose any progress or have to learn entirely new systems or anything. This isn't an Arc System Works fighting game or anything. But yeah, everything kind of revolves around the centralized game mechanics, which is nice. But generally, Team Dark is the hard mode to Team Sonic's normal mode. Also, Shadow and Rouge are both voiced by their same voice actors that voiced them in Sonic Adventure 2. Who are David Humphrey for Shadow and Lonnie Manelli, Lenny Manella for Rouge, and then Omega, who is a brand new character to the franchise, being the 100th and 23rd entry developed for the E101 series. He is voiced by, of all people, John St. John, the same voice actor who plays Big the Cat, as well as Duke Nukem. Now that's pretty darn cool. I mean, yeah, like, Big was a very different character from what we were used to back in Sonic Adventure 1. He was developed to be a character who had a very different playing style and was focused on more. I wasn't like didn't have to immediately go off super fast towards his goal. He was a character that was a lot more relaxed and a lot more chill out. Omega is very focused on destroying Dr. Eggman. That's basically it. That's about all his character. But the fact that he's voiced by John St. John is what makes him pretty darn cool. Because, first off, he does have like some snarky comments here and there throughout the story, but you kind of have to look around for them. Basically, he's very focused. As a robot, he is very focused on his primary directive. But the fact that he's voiced by Duke Nukem is really cool. I mean, yeah, they made it sound. I made him sound like an actual robot with some voice editing, or like, yeah, with some editing software. But still, though, Duke Nukem is a robot. It's like if Duke Nukem was the Terminator. Instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger going after Sarah Connor, you have Omega going after Dr. Eggman. Still, though, that's pretty cool. So yeah, the biggest thing that you'll notice when it comes to Team Dark's stages are the fact that there's a lot more enemies, a lot tougher enemies, and the stages are just generally longer. That's just how they're created, and it's not necessarily a fact of yes, look at all this. Look at all these just amazing different assets that are put into the level design. It's more the fact of yes, let's have our different chunks established and put in place so that the players can just go through that part. So basically, they only have to really, even though they have to make 4 completely different levels. Really, it's not necessarily a fact of, we need to put everything back in its proper place. It's more the fact that they can just copy and paste most of their assets and then just modify them for each respective team. Now, their Team Blast here, Chaos Inferno, its special ability, other than the fact that it just clears the screen of enemies and does a lot of damage to bosses, it actually stops time, which is great because it helps to lower the amount of time that you're technically spending on the clock towards your time score, or your time bonus in the scoring system, which is great. So if you're really trying to get a really high time bonus, spam Team Blast as much as you can, because it'll stop time, allowing you to get further in the stage without the timer going. At the same time, though, you do actually stop all that's going on around you. So if you, like, destroy a bunch of enemies in the area, and then you just go forward, and then there's a bunch of enemies in front of you, they'll stay frozen in time. Bosses do the same exact thing. They're frozen in time. So if you're fighting a boss, this might be a good opportunity for you to just lay the smackdown with Omega, and that's great. At the same time, though, there are moments in the game where having time be stopped is not necessarily a good idea. In the later stages, you'll have points where a door opens after all of the enemies are destroyed. You especially see that in, like, Egg Fleet, for example. However, if time is still frozen while you were waiting for enemies or waiting for the door to open, technically you're actually waiting for the Team Blast gauge to actually deplete back down to 0 as time is stopped. So you're still waiting. However, if you do want to actually speed up the process, you can press the Z button again, and that'll automatically restore the flow of time. And that's nice. I actually didn't figure that out until many years after I initially played this game. And having that knowledge is actually pretty important, because you'll see later on when we go through stages like Grand Metropolis and Egg Fleet, there will be those times where I just have to immediately say, alright, action begins now, despite the fact that I could still have time be frozen for several more seconds. It's really just a matter of the situation, but most of the time, I will have the time be completely frozen as long as I can, and then in those different situations where I need time to be, for the normal flow of time to be restored, I'll then just press the Z button and move on as accordingly. Kind of freaking out here because I don't necessarily want to homing attack the egg pawns that have the sword lances. I don't really know what type of weapons those are called. Spears? Anyways, I don't necessarily like using the homing attack on them all that much because I always have the opportunity of just colliding with the hitbox of the lance while the egg pawn has it up. While they're kind of like in neutral stance, yet I still manage to hit them because of the homing attack and just hitboxes and stuff. So yeah, as you can see, Omega powered up is able to just shoot out these needles that explode and can take a lot of enemies out, which is great. It really spreads the damage out. It can really start clearing a path very quickly, which is great. It's one of the big differences between him and Knuckles. Also, as you saw, we went up to a higher platform, and we found an extra life, and Omega commented on it saying, "Item located." Different characters will have different responses depending on if you find a hidden item. There are a few of them, and there are a few of them throughout the stages. That one's pretty much the easiest one to get, and you'll hear different reactions from different characters. It's really at random about which of the three will comment. I can't think of any good examples of exactly who says what, but it definitely is interesting to see a little bit of characters' personalities show off when you find some of these hidden items. Well, I guess I'll just come up here with fly formation. So yeah, despite a few minor changes here and there in terms of the level design, things are pretty much the same as they were for Team Sonic's route. Maybe a few enemies here and there, maybe a few little changes here or there for the level design, but basically it's pretty much the same. We'll start to see some of the bigger changes in some of the later stages, getting closer to like Hang Castle, Egg Fleet, etc. Also, one of the things that that also makes Team Dark's a little bit harder, at least in terms of if you're going for 100% completion, is the fact that the amount of points that you need to get at the end of a stage in order to get an A rank are a lot higher than they are for Team Sonic, Team Rose, or Team Chaotix. Like, seriously, they are about 20,000 points higher than anyone else's point requirements for an A rank. I mean, I was able to get an A rank when it came to Seaside Hill, but I really don't think I'm going to be getting an A rank when it comes to Ocean Palace here. Yeah, the amount of points that you need really increases when it comes to Team Dark. And now we're just going to reenact some of our favorite scenes from Indiana Jones, because why not? Also to go along with the Sonic tradition of being chased by some big thing in one of the first levels. When you had the gigantic battleship in Sonic 3, you had the killer whale in Sonic Adventure, you had the giant gun truck in Sonic Adventure 2, and now you got giant boulders because Indiana Jones is cool, right? Yeah, 68,000 points, and we only get a C. That just goes to show you exactly how much you need to focus on when it comes to getting really big bonuses from defeating a lot of enemies and for going really fast with Team Dark. However, because their levels are a lot longer and a lot more focused on combat, you really need to take advantage of the Team Blast mechanic, because trust me, that's how you're going to annihilate a lot of enemies at one time and be able to freeze time to get a higher time bonus by the end of it.
Is that any way to treat your creator? Now witness your master's real power.
All right, and the Egg Hawk. Just like with Team Sonic, we're just gonna head on over to the central platform, and we're just going to lay the smackdown on Eggman. All right, and here we go.
This isn't the end!
I believe it is, kind of.
Mission completed.
Well, at the very least, it's the end of this episode. In the next episode of Let's Play Sonic Heroes, we're going to be taking on stages 3 and 4, and also the team fight. I'm Crimson Nero, thank you very much for watching this episode, and until next time, everyone, fare thee well.